Hey, everybody. Welcome back to This Show is a JK, although you can't see Keith yet because I got to get his streamerooski right. See, you're not there again. That is so weird.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, well, he's here. We're going to have to figure out why you're not showing up on this particular Skype panel, which you should. There you are. Apply. Come on. Where's Keith Powell? This is a PETA. Anyway, we are glad you are here to join us as I try to work to get Keith actually up on your screen. I think it's got something to do with this new account you have. I've tried to get you to come up, and it is not coming up, so we'll have to figure that out. Anyway, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. It is great to have you along yet again on another Saturday afternoon/night. Keith Pennell, Jason Tudor with you, and we are very excited to be here enjoying this show with you tonight. It is sponsored by, of course, my book, 7 from the System, available on Amazon.com. You can find it everywhere for, I think it's $6.99 for the print, $4.99 for the Kindle. It's 7 short stories, all that sort of thing, and you can get that on Amazon. Oh, boy. Let's see. What else? Aaron Custer has got a new single out. That is at aaroncuster.com. He would really like you to go ahead and find that on Spotify. Actually, you know what? I'm just thinking now. He has said that there are some streaming issues with Spotify, and we'll need to fix that. So, and there's Keith on screen finally. I regret that it took so long to finally get him there, but we're bigger for you this week. Because I figured out how to I figured out how to crop things and make them larger. So anyway, Aaron Custer would love for you to actually get the single for free. He is happy to take your name, and he will allow you to download the signal, and then you can get it from him absolutely for free. It's a great single. I was listening to it. I think I listened to it like 6 times yesterday. Really lovely song, wonderful song that I was proud to do the cover art for and be part of that process with him yet again. Thank you, Aaron. I really very much appreciate it, and was very excited to be part of that. So I notice we have less viewers tonight. This is Daniel's out there. Hi, Daniel. But we usually get 9 or 10 people by now, so that's kind of weird. But we'll figure it out. Maybe they don't like James Bond as much, right?
Maybe they didn't like the fact that I wasn't on at the beginning.
Maybe that's what it is. They said, "Oh, Keith's not there. Fuck it, I'm leaving. I'm going home." So, what's new?
Oh, let's see. I get to go back to work on Monday. I'm happy about that. Yeah, I can tell the world is excited about that. Let's see. Got a couple of things to talk about, but just real quick off the bat, I told you I bought a new bike the other day. Last week. Mm-hmm. And so Thursday, I said I needed to take a break.
Right.
And so I went out less than 10 minutes, checking the gears, brakes, things like that, make sure I knew. And then I realized it's been, I think Cassidy was 1 year old, maybe even less than a year old.
Right.
When I was on the bike last, we had one of those little seats that went on the back of a bike.
Right.
And, that's probably the last time. So 20 years since I've been on a bike.
20 years.
And
geez.
So like I said, I was out for less than 10 minutes. And I walk back in. My thighs are wobbly. So it's gonna take some work to get me comfortable on a bicycle.
So when we were pre-gaming today, folks, Keith sent me a text message, which usually if I have things that I've got lined up to say, I'll send him over to him and say, hey, here's what I'm going to talk about, just so you're familiar and he can add something to it. Or if he's got stuff, he'll send it to me. So there's really, honestly, there's almost no plan to this. We usually just show up and go, okay, here's what I'm going to talk about, But he said, took my Nike out for a quick ride. Oh, boy.
Nike?
And I was like, did he buy new shoes? I was like, I got to figure out what the hell he did because he's really excited about sneakers if he's taking those out. So I was like, all right, well, if you're really excited about the shoes, I guess we could talk about them on the show.
There's Keith not editing himself again. That's per usual.
That's pretty good. So you know that I think I mentioned this on a previous show when we were more in the throes of COVID, that BX sales of bicycles went up 190%. I went over to buy Annabelle's 3-wheeled bicycle, and they were out of bicycles. I shit you not. The bikes were just gone. And that was really strange to me because generally those bikes do not move. But they had my bike because I'd kind of set it aside or whatever, so I bought it. but they were out of bicycles for a long time, actually. So that was kind of strange to me. But it's kind of cool, actually, in a way, because people figured out something to do. And that's how, right, that's one of the neat kind of things of human beings. We figure out something to do when we got nothing to do. And it's like, what? I used to ride a bicycle. And somebody went and bought a bicycle, and you know how that is.
Yeah, it's and what's funny is they must have got a shipment because they had a line out in the aisle of the ones I bought. I saw a guy take one, exactly the same one I have, and that's they have bikes,
right?
And so I went and looked at. They were on sale, $149.95, which is a great price for a bike these days.
It is.
So I went back in today because as John B says, I was doing my hunting and gathering. And
that is traditional John B, by the way. That is authentic John B. Right? Hunting and gathering.
Yes.
Imagine my delight.
Charatorium.
Yeah.
Yes. Got his car washed at the Charatorium.
Yeah. Yes. There are things we expect from our John B, and he delivers.
Yes, absolutely. So I was in there, and they have a row of 10 of these same black and white mountain bikes.
Okay.
Right there. So if you're listening in the area, which I don't know that many people are,
right?
You can go and get a bike now.
My friend Dees Cassius has joined. Hello, Dees. Thanks for being here. The bikes have sold, and bikes are a good value if you're not looking to be professional. Otherwise, they're quite expensive. The bike that I have, I got for about $275. But 3 years ago, that's how old it is. But he's kept it in magnificent shape when I bought it. That was a $2,200 bicycle, and I was like,
wow.
Yeah. So the frame and everything's solid, and everything's good, but that was like a $2,200 bicycle, right? So bicycles can be very, very expensive. The other thing that's very, very expensive right now is food. Food is going way up, apparently, at least in the United States. And I've noticed even at the BX, or not BX, like we buy food at the BX, right? At the commissary, certain things have shot up pretty well too. But in the States, I think they've said most of the staples have gone up 15 to 20%. That's very interesting to me. So it's a sign of the times, the supply and demand and all of that, and what they've had to throw away, I guess. I don't know. That seems logical.
It's I haven't heard that. That's news to me. I have not heard that.
So it'll be interesting to see how.
Now, obviously, I heard about obviously the run on toilet paper, which has calmed down. Apparently, you can't find Lysol spray anywhere.
No, that's still an issue.
And I'm still not able to find honey buns at any of the commissaries. And since I go back to work on Monday, and that is my work breakfast, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do.
I have to figure that out. That is really strange.
Pop-Tarts.
Honey buns. Yeah, well, Pop-Tarts are pretty good. I stopped eating those about a week ago because I'm getting too fat. I'm like up to 255 at least. It's not good. But, just little things like that. And this is, by the way, this is our COVID update, which we tried to do. I've snuck this one in on Keith. So so the other thing that's loosely COVID, here it's pretty... I don't want to say it's back to normal, but we're close. But there are still some things like I went over to the Chili's tonight to get some food, which I ended up not doing. But they were doing sit down. No, they were just too crowded. There were like 18 people in the to-go line. Otherwise, because Annabelle, there's a certain thing she likes there, and everyone
call in.
I know.
That's what I do.
I just forgot. So, and so I went to the donor place after that. But mostly it's still, things are very much like the two places that we have traveled to, people weren't wearing masks so much, and there are fewer people wearing masks unless they actually have to go into the business. And so things are sort of almost the whole breath out. Gyms are still opening. What else, Keith?
Let's see. Gyms are opening,
Yep.
Craft centers. Our child development centers are opening, and that's huge, although not to capacity because you still have to have X number of children, and they have to have so much space per children.
Right.
So, that like in the States, these places are opening back up, but you still can't have a full house, and of course that causes angst and that kind of thing. Pools should be opening up in about 2 weeks, I think, July 3rd here.
Right.
I know there are pools that are opening up back in the States, apartment pools, things like that. Let's see, bowling alley is open, if I remember correctly.
Bowling alley is already pretty socially distanced anyway. Right? You're about 6 feet or 2 meters or 6 feet apart between lanes. So that's not a bad deal. It's that cluster of people that's sitting around in that little sort of alcove of beer and onion rings and everything else where I think it could be caught and captured.
And this is going to come out just totally wrong, but what do you expect from me? Using balls somebody else has used.
Whoa.
You know how they spray the shoes after every use?
Right.
They're going to have to start spraying the balls.
And that's been a running joke, for the whole COVID thing is why don't we just use that spray shit that they spray into shoes to kill COVID, which is funny. So
Right.
Yeah.
So bowling alleys and libraries are back open to a point.
Yep.
And so it's getting there.
Mm-hmm.
Playgrounds are open. And man, from our viewpoint in what we do for a living,
right.
There's a couple of things that you just go, is that your priority?
Yeah.
And it is for a lot of people. Number one is fitness centers.
Right.
Number two,
fitness centers is huge.
Fitness centers are huge because for the military member, they have you don't know at first when all this kicked off, are they still going to have the physical fitness test,
right.
whichever service, whatever they call it, their special name for it, but physical fitness test.
ACFT, Army Combat Fitness Test is the one.
Yeah, in the Army it's the ACFT. Yeah. In the Air Force, I think it's the AFPT.
AFPT, right.
So those are coming up in April, May, June. So if these military members can't get back in the gyms, how is that going to affect that? Well, now at least I saw in the Air Force that they pushed it back to November. I don't know about the Army. You would think I would know, but that may be one of those things that was said in the office.
I haven't really seen anything. And that's mostly a military sort of issue, and we don't have a lot of military within our specific unit. So there's only like a handful of people that would be affected, and I'm sure that's all just internal to their calendars and things. So
we have fitness centers.
Yeah.
We have playgrounds. Because apparently the parents that have been home with their kids for the last 3 months want to get the kids the hell out of the house.
Yeah, duh.
But you have to be smart when you do that too, because all these snot-faced kids. Forgive me, but they all are.
So mean.
Are all over the playground and all that, and the parents aren't going to clean up after their kids.
Right.
So then the people that do this have to go in at various times and various days and clean off. So you have to be smart about. And then the last one is I'll mix a couple of these together: arts and crafts centers. And libraries, and obviously stuff off post. Well, if this is open off base, why can't it be open on base?
Right.
That kind of thing. So that's a good chunk of mine and our great coworkers' job every day.
And if you are hearing the news from the States, the news is that things are spiking again in certain states. It's gone up, and there's probably a number of reasons for that, but it's probably because that's what happens is there's a second wave, and there's a lot of things that could cause it. People are saying, the protests, or this, or that. I think it's all of that. It's contributing, and the fact that it wasn't fully sort of eliminated, so I think that's all part of that as well. What else is on your list there, Bubba?
Okay, I've got several things.
All right.
Military. A lot of people will be able to empathize with this.
Empathize.
When I got here, and this, my trials and tribulations with this.
Yeah.
When we first got here, I had never done a travel voucher before.
All right.
I had worked with DTS.
Which is weird to me. That's so weird to me.
DTS is the devil anyway.
Yeah.
But I had never done a travel voucher before because I had never been in the government employ before I was at Fort Sill. And I was at Fort Sill for 14 years.
And you didn't do a travel voucher there?
No, I did DTS to do TDY, but no travel voucher.
Okay.
So I get here.
Okay, the actual form. Got it. Okay, I'm tracking.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that makes sense to me.
And I fully accept a good chunk of the the fault on this.
Right.
I put it off.
Hi, Dad.
I didn't know how to do it, so I put it off and I put it off, and then I didn't know how to do it, and then I would ask for help, and then I wouldn't understand the instructions, and blah 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 blah.
Right.
Having said that, I think we've addressed before on this show that the HR apparatus here leaves some to be desired.
It's challenging.
And you'll get that from the top on down. And anyway, so I wasn't getting much help to begin with. So needless to say, my travel card went into
arrears,
and they started taking money out of my check.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. I get that. I deserve that.
Right.
And that'll actually help pay it off. Got it.
Right.
So every 2 weeks, I was getting almost $300 taken out of my check on top of the money that's taken out of your check for the advance pay that everybody gets when they get here.
Okay.
So
excellent.
I did my taxes in March.
Yeah.
And I decided, you know what, I'm going to pay off that card. Bam, done. And then I started noticing about a month ago, I'm still having money taken out. So I have an $800 credit, which is kind of cool because I called Citibank and said, hey, can you fire that to my checking account? No problem, sir.
Right.
Well, earlier this week, I noticed again, it was back up $600, $800. And I said, what the hell?
Yeah. No shit.
So I called the bank, and the bank said, well, that's through your local money people. Okay.
Right.
Well, you know who's upstairs in our money department, somebody who will bend over backwards to help us. And we've named a studio after him.
Right.
And he said, that is not us, Mr. Keith. You need to call DFAS. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's where it gets achy for me. So you can't do anything on DFAS online.
Nope.
You have to call.
Yep.
So I called the DFAS number and there's a civilian number. Call the civilian number. Okay. So I get somebody finally after 2 attempts at hitting the number, and I had to hang up and call again.
Welcome to all of our viewers, by the way. We are up to 9 now. Sorry, go ahead.
Yay. So I call and I finally get somebody, very nice lady, out of Columbus, and I tell her what's going on. She goes, "Oh, sir, that's a travel card. I need you to call the travel card number."
I'm gonna turn on my
Okay.
light. Go ahead.
Go ahead. So I call the travel card number and get hung up on. So I call the travel card number again,
Right.
and get an answering machine. Hit number, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I hit a number, and it takes me back to the menu.
Right.
So I hit just an arbitrary number. And finally, I get a dude, and he goes, "Oh, sir, that's a different number. You need to call this number."
Right.
By this time, I'm just mad.
Yep.
And so I called the other number. Okay, you've reached the debit and collections for the government travel card.
Right.
Unfortunately, this office no longer exists.
It did not say that.
This office no longer exists.
That is almost as awesome as this page intentionally left blank. That is fantastic.
This office no longer exists. Please send an email to, and then it's one of these
This office no longer exists.
MBX mailboxes that start off with dfas.dfas.mil@mbx.dfas. I had to listen to it twice to make sure I had it.
Yeah, email
at
addresses
mail.mil.
this long.
Oh, yeah. And then
Email
as
addresses
I'm
that are 8 inches long.
Yes, thank you very much.
You like that?
Yes,
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Right
there. So I'm typing it in. I hit tab a couple of times
Right.
to type my message. I start typing my message. I'm not exactly happy with DFAT, and the little out of office message comes up.
Oh, yeah.
Only this one says this mailbox
Does
no
not.
longer exists.
This is such a good federal government story. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm done now.
Oh, that's
I'm
it.
done with the whole fucking thing now.
Well,
I'm just done.
as Daniel Nathaniel says, when you owe finance, you pay now, and finance owes you. Yeah, it's totally true. And there's another story that I have about that that's so true. But yeah, if you owe them money, they will take it from you the moment after they tell you. But if they owe you, it's gonna be 30 days, and it takes so long to get your paycheck. O'Shawn Jefferson is here. That's good right there. That's very good. But yeah, if they want it, they're gonna come take it. So, but this office does not exist. Is going to be this office no longer exists. Is now the title of the show for the audio version. So that's good. We got something out of that.
At least I've contributed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
Matt Davis, I know you want to hear sports.
Is it sports ball time? Hang on, though. Look, since we're talking about Matt Davis, Matt had a fantastic T-shirt on this week. It was a Bohemian Rhapsody single print, sort of like a single color like this one, but it was Darth Vader, Darth Maul, and then two other Sith figures to the side, like in the Bohemian Rhapsody configuration. Nice. It was very cool. It was a very cool shirt. So kudos for the shirt, and that's why I've got my Rebel Scum hat on today in honor of Matt's shirt. So that's where we're at with that.
I've got my Run DMC T-shirt on.
Reverend Run.
That's right. I was feeling nostalgic. I pulled out a different Run DMC shirt to mow the lawn this morning.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, you know what? So I watched their Hall of Fame induction back from 2005.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't realize Eminem did the induction. That was cool.
I didn't either.
Anyway, and Matt message last, I want to say Tuesday. He said, I don't not like sports. I don't care if you do the sports. I'm just glad the whole show's not about sports. So anyway, I just wanted to say something.
I just think it's always fun to give the Matt Davis arbitrary sports is coming warning. I think that's a good part of fun part of the show. So
here's your short suspense, Matt. Oh, by the way, Matt, I want to say thank you for helping me out. What was it, 2 weeks ago? I didn't know this, the S6, the IT guys, get the warnings that your IT thing, your cyber awareness challenge and all that is about to run out. Oh. I knew that. I was prepared for that.
Right.
Matt sent me an email saying, hey, Keith, you're about to run out. I said, yeah, I know. And then he helped me. I said, I didn't think I could do it from home. But yeah, you can do it from home. So anyway, taken care of. Thanks, Matt, for that.
Moving on.
Again, reading Peter King, as I do every week, most of the article was about COVID and how teams are handling it.
I bet it's about how the Giants and how they had COVID.
You know, he's been laying off. We make fun of Peter King because he broke into the league as a sports writer, covering his beat was the New York Giants. He's bullish on the New York Giants. He's bullish on Aaron Rodgers. He loves Tom Brady and he loves Brett Favre. One of those three or four will be in his column every week.
Yeah.
So anyway, but he did an interview with the head NFL doctor, not a team doctor, the head NFL doctor. What are you doing? Are we going to be able to start on time?
Right.
It was led to believe that the commissioner, Roger Goodell, is leaning towards starting on time in August. Right. Probably 0 preseason games, rather, and start with the season on regular times.
Right.
Now, they will test everybody involved at least twice a week. That's a lot of tests throughout the NFL. When you're thinking equipment guys, assistant coaches, the guy who holds the clipboard, the guy who holds the cord for the coach's headset, all of that. That's a lot of tests. But
speaking of Matt Davis, he's here.
Welcome, Matt. Should we start the NFL over?
No, you just said welcome, Matt. That made me laugh. Okay, go ahead.
So one of these things the doctor is doing is talking with physicians, head physicians, team physicians from other leagues, basketball, hockey, the European, what is it, MISL, NISL?
NISL is a soccer league, yes.
Yes, NISL. I'm not a soccer dude, sorry.
National Indoor Soccer League, I believe.
Okay, and then talking to the guys in the soccer leagues here in Europe. Right. What are you doing? Because they started back up with practice again. So it's not just we're the NFL encapsulated. We are trying to get more knowledge before we open this up. So that made me happy. I'm happy despite what else is going on, what may or may not happen during the pregame and the national anthem and all that. I'm excited to see football again.
I think the NFL is going to do whatever the fuck it wants. And I think it's interesting that they've talked about talking to these other doctors, but I think their situation is distinctly different from many others because for a number of reasons. One is they play a full contact sport where at least 22 people get together on a field 4 or 5 times every 10 minutes and have a group session. And they're all on top of each other, and part of their tactics are spitting on one another, grabbing each other's genitals, all sorts of things, and to include breathing on one another, which is probably the most gentle thing they do. They have 106, unless I think it's 108 players on the field. There's another 30 members of the coaching staff, and then there's another 60 or 70 people who are just sycophants on the sideline. So you're talking 200 to 210 people on each side of the sideline. There's another 50 reporters on each end zone, or camera people. Maybe not that many, maybe more like 20 or 30. And then there's 24 security people around. Just on the field, there's between 300 and 400 people. And then if you try to put, 25,000 people in the stands, then you have people who have to serve and people. I think they're distinctly different from baseball. They have 50 people in a dugout, but there's no more than, 10 players on the field at any one time, 3 umpires and 2 base coaches. So that's a distinctly less populated, and it's not necessarily a contact sport unless you're trying to break up the double play at second or you're sliding into home plate, as Pete Rose almost killed that guy doing. Basketball is a little similar in that there is a lot of contact and there's a lot of closeness, but there's only, I think they only carry 11 guys on a roster. So that's 22 total people plus, I think, 6 or 7 coaches. So you're talking 60. Again, probably not more than 100 and 150 people. And you could go on and on with this. The point is the NFL is really the personnel-heavy victim here that has to figure out what it's going to do in terms of telling players everything's going to be okay. Because the moment they play for the weekend and 20% of the players check out as sick, what happens? Do they just play on? Do they invite everybody off the practice squad to fill slots? Do the other players go, fuck this, I'm not getting sick? It's an interesting thing. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle it if they decide to go into, let me get both hands in here, hang on, the bubble in Orlando, like the other teams have, to play the football all there or whatever, which is an interesting thought because the bubble is in Orlando, which is owned by Disney, which ESPN is owned by Disney. I mean, there's so much incestuous relationships going on here. But it's an interesting PR ploy at best, saying, oh, he's consulting with these guys. The NFL doesn't give a fuck what they think. They're going to do exactly what they want to do when they want to do it. They'll make their own determination. They print their own money. They make their own rules in a lot of ways. The military kowtows to them and has for years and years and years. So have other corporations. It's just a matter of what the NFL plans to do and how they plan to execute it. Now, that said, that doesn't mean they won't be careful. They won't be distinct in taking care of people. I think the other leagues have done a great job in saying, nope, we're not coming back this soon. And nope. I think the point that they're at of going into the bubble, like the MLS, which is having a tournament, I'm kind of excited about that because I get to see Atlanta United play. I'm just excited to see sports live of any kind. I think that's very cool.
Yeah.
I think the basketball tournament is a neat idea, and it'll be interesting to see if baseball can get out of its acrimony to come back. But that said, football is something else entirely. Because the other sports do, their arenas and their owners rely on revenue from food and all of these other things. Football similarly. So, maybe they're thinking about a plan that utilizes all the stadiums. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they'll all go to Vegas and play in the Raiders stadium and they'll all stay at a hotel or something. Who knows? It's an interesting thought.
Yeah. That's what we need.
Matt, by the way, Matt, we talked about your T-shirt earlier, so you'll have to listen to the audio show to listen to my commentary on your T-shirt. So,
yeah, apparently it was really cool, Matt. I didn't see it. I don't
apparently.
know. No, I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
You have a list right in front of you.
I do. But I was going to continue with football for just. I watched. I had, of all things, I had last year's playoff game between the Bears and the Eagles. 2 teams I don't like at all.
Yeah.
But it was on today. I was watching it. So
yeah, there was a Florida-Nashville hockey game on today. I'm like, oh shit, hockey! I sat down in front of that and then I fell asleep accordingly, but I was tired. So, so I talked about MLS return. The other thing that happened, I guess, is the West Point graduation. The cadets graduated. Since I live near West Point, I always talk about that. And there's people have some issues with that. I'm not really interested in that. That's just more blah, blah, blah. But I was thinking West Point military academies are some of the few colleges that are like a guaranteed job as soon as you like get your diploma. That's it. You're automatically employed, and you have been technically for 4 years. You've been on an E5 salary for the last whatever it was. You're part of the military, so it's interesting.
And going to school for free.
Going to school for free.
And getting a
fantastic
college education.
Top 10 universities education, too. Oh, by the way, you're listening and watching. This show is a JK with your pals, Jason and Keith. We are happy to be with you on a Saturday with a stream that works and apparently has no problems. And people can hear us, and the subtitles are working, so that tells me the sound is working. We have big new pictures of us, so that's good, so you can see us a little better, and you could see the likes on the screen, so that's kind of neat. So I've found some new technology, and I think I've got everything squared away, so proud of that. Before we get to the bracket, because we're close, I know you got a couple other things, so we'll get to those too, but what was I going to say? Oh, Dee Dee got me this really cool Father's Day gift. Now, this is not an endorsement. I want to say that right up front. It's not an endorsement, but it is in the sense that I really like it. It's something called a Nebula projector, and it is basically a soda can-sized wall projector that you can run your streaming through and project on a wall or on the outside. It is hot. It is very, very neat, and I was noodling with it last night. She gave it to me a couple days ago. And it is very, very cool. And I don't know. I'm not going to do a review because I don't like doing that for things, that didn't give it to me for free. But it is a very cool product. I'm still exploring it. Maybe I'll give my wholehearted review at some point. But right now, it's very cool. I was just testing it last night. I projected it on my slanted wall off to my left here, and I had that on. It was pretty neat. So anyway, what else you got?
Very cool.
This office no longer exists is still very funny.
Yeah, this office no longer exists.
That is fantastic.
I think I'm going to put that on my office door.
We need to put that on both of our doors, I think.
Yeah. And then blame it on safety. Yes.
Exactly.
This is Pride Month, so just real quick, I want to say Happy Pride Month to all my LGBTQ.
Well done.
Is that right? Is that all of them?
That's pretty much, yeah. I think that's it. I always screw it up, so good for you.
Friends and family, and you be you. And if you need somebody to get between you and some loudmouth guy who doesn't want you to be you, call me. I play bigger than I look.
Seth McDougal is here. That's awesome. And then I agree with Keith.
Yes.
Happy Pride. I have so many friends who this applies to, and I'm glad to be dear friends with them, and it means a lot that you brought that up. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Now, last thing I have before we get to the bracket, Elmer Fudd.
Hi, Seth, by the way. Okay, Elmer Fudd. Okay, I know where you're going with this. Go ahead.
Elmer Fudd, the kinder, gentler generation we have now, and I'm not making fun because I don't know where you stand on it. We grew up with Elmer Fudd wrapping Daffy Duck's beak around his face with a shotgun blast. Nobody ever got hurt. Nobody ever died, of course, in Looney Tunes. The new Looney Tunes is coming out. Elmer Fudd is gunless, is unarmed. The hunter is unarmed. What you think?
I think a lot of weird things are happening right now. I think that whenever something happened in the military, when I was in the military, bad, that the initial thing to do was to make a knee-jerk reaction to put an abrupt end to whatever behavior was happening to that. And smart people and not as smart people thought of ways to do that. And so, for instance, if they wanted to curb drunk driving at a place, they would tell you that you couldn't leave the base, and they would close clubs. They would limit access to the Class 6 store, which is a military liquor store. There would be a number of things that could be done to sort of to cut that behavior that may have been seen as radical by people who enjoyed drinking but didn't necessarily have a problem with alcohol, right? You and I occasionally like to go buy the big bottle of beer, sip on that while we're doing the show, and it generally adds a little more social grease to what we're doing depending on the week or the day, and we enjoy that. I enjoy beer every once in a while. I'm not a big beer drinker anymore. I don't think I ever was really. I'm very much a social drinker, and I barely keep any in my fridge. I still have beer left over from a party from last year. It's not going anywhere in my house, believe me. But I have bought that bottle because it's really good tasting beer. And, sometimes it helps do some social grease for the show. But that said, wow, loud people. I have my door open. All right, sorry about that. So I think what you're talking about is also attributable to a lot of things that are happening today. Daniel Nathaniel has been posting a bunch of stuff this week about like things that are being taken out of the sort of social conversation and part of our pop culture lexicon. Of course, the most noticeable thing this week was Gone with the Wind being removed by HBO Max, taken off the air.
I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, so that to me is a knee-jerk reaction to something. And there are some other things that are happening that could be noted as knee-jerk reactions to things. I think that yes, there's come a time for change, and we have to make change. 2, I agree that there are certain things that you and I grew up with that are different from what they were now. You bring up the Elmer Fudd with the gun thing. Elmer Fudd was a dumb hunter who constantly chased around a rabbit from Brooklyn, who sometimes smoked a cigar, who sometimes, there were a lot of different things that Bugs Bunny did. And when whoever it was got hold of the show, or whoever eventually got hold of that content and owned that content, they did start re-airing those cartoons, and including the one that's like the opera one, that's The Marriage of Figaro, that was taken off the air for a long time because it had homosexual overtones and all these different things, which is ridiculous. But what they did is they said, these were made at a different time. This is part of something that, our culture was, and we acknowledge that, but they exist, and we're still going to continue to show them to you. If you want to watch them, watch them. If you don't. I like that idea. I don't disagree. There are some things that should just be taken out of the public eye. On the other hand, like our friend Darren, I am a proponent of free speech. It's when that free speech begins to damage. So more specifically to your point on Elmer Fudd, I don't know who owns Warner Brothers. AT&T. If AT&T wants to take the gun out of Elmer's hand, they take it out of Elmer's hand. That's it. That is that. If I don't want to draw my comic book character with a rifle, I won't. If I decide later that I do want to put a rifle in her hand, I do. It's my creation. I've had this discussion with people before. There is this sort of, I can't think of the right word. It's not caveat emptor, but there is this sort of thing that says, I don't know what you sort of culture or TV show or song or something else, but when that comes to you and you have it, it feels like it belongs to you now. It's part of it is part of you. And when they do a different version or something like that, you feel cheated because you're like, well, that's not the version I had. That's not the version of Star Wars that I had. That's not the version of Return of the Jedi that I watched. But George Lucas felt, well, now that this technology exists, I can enhance Star Wars to the way that I wanted to see it. I don't agree with all of his changes, but he owns the film, and that's that. Han shot first. That said, there is that sort of thing where we say, oh, we own that. That is ours. And when it changes, we get upset. Or if it's taken away from us, we get upset. But in the end, it's somebody's, I don't want to say private property, but it is their intellectual property. And what are you going to do about it? My own example of this, and I don't want to run too long because we do have a bracket to do, is there's a song by a great guitarist, songwriter, a guy who was big in the 80s named Martin Briley. He wrote a song called Salt in My Tears, which is a great song, and I'm sure there are a few people who might be listening along who've heard You Ain't Worth the Salt in My Tears. It's a great song. It's got a killer guitar riff. It was the second song I learned on guitar. I loved it. Well, the version that's on Amazon, iTunes, and elsewhere is this really shitty, like he went back into the studio and recut it sort of mix. It has the same notes, and it's played with the same instruments at about the same speed, but it don't sound like the Salt in My Tears that I grew up with that was released on the Mercury Polydor album that I still own. That's something that I'm close to, and I don't agree with it. But he either lost the rights and it's not issued anymore, or he just had to go in and make the music. So it's an interesting dichotomy you bring up. They took the rifle out of Elmer's hand. Does that necessarily send the right message to kids? What about people who are hunters? I mean, I don't know. I think it's probably dumb. I think people know that Elmer Fudd had a rifle from before, that he used to shoot Daffy Duck and blow his head off, and this bill would go on the back of his head or at the top of his head or on this side or look like this or whatever, and to sort of do this as a cop-out. And I'll just wrap this up by saying you may recall that when Spielberg released E.T. at one point, or re-released it rather, instead of shotguns, they had walkie-talkies in their hands.
Yes.
That was another sort of, what the fuck is going on? We knew that they had guns. It made it more menacing, right? It made it more like E.T.'s going to die instead of, we're going to go kill. It's just, all this stuff is chatter, and I think you just have to sort of make your own way with a lot of these things and say, Daniel posted just before we came on the air that I don't know the Mariska Hargitay character's name in Law and Order. Olivia whatever. My wife watches it all the time, but there's a Rolling Stone article or something that says maybe we should take her off the air because she's a cop. And, there's all these different things. We're in that space right now. We're in that we have to do everything we can to do X. And from a for-profit company point of view, they want to do things to keep the money flowing. And how do they do that? And do they bring it back later to even more money and so on and so forth? So to your point, this may just be a temporary thing as a sign of the times, or it may be just a way of them saying, okay, we realize that an old man carrying a gun shooting fictitious rabbits in a fictitious forest with talking ducks and everything else is not a good way to go. Sorry, that was a little longer than you probably wanted, but there you go.
That's all right. And the last thing to remember is they don't make cartoons for 50-year-old men either.
No.
Or not ones they show on Cartoon Network anyway.
No. Those are shown in peep show places around the globe,
Yes.
I think.
Welcome to John B., who showed up late.
Woo, woo.
Come on, Coach. You're better than
He's
that,
here,
but we forgive you.
And then also welcome to Peter Blanchard, Amir Faruqi, my dear friend from my time in Atlanta, Carlos Diaz, Danny Johnson, and Matt Martinez, who's a friend of my mom's who I met at a party, who's a great, great dude. All right. So we've sort of got the topical portion of the show out of the way, but if you missed any of it, you want to hear part of it, we do an audio version of this. You can subscribe to it on iTunes or stream it on Spotify like John B. does. And it's pretty simple. You just go to the podcast and you click on. If you've got an iPhone, it'll just start dumping the last 3 or 4 episodes onto your phone. You can listen. If you hate us, great. But if you hate us, really, just give us 2 more episodes. Promise, it gets better. So it's a lot of fun. We do this for about an hour twice a week, at least at the moment, until Keith gets a date. And then we will do it some other...
Wow.
How about that, huh? I swept the leg on that one. So let's see. There were some comments here that I missed. I want to make sure... let's see. Amazon removing the Dukes of Hazzard. I didn't know that.
I saw him say that, and I didn't know that either.
Author intent versus death of an author. Benson. Daniel, that's great. Daniel Nathaniel brought up Benson. Did you watch Benson when you were a kid? Do you remember it?
Yes, because I had at one point I had a crush on Tracy Gold.
Ah, yeah.
And then her sister, or was it Tracy, that was on the one with Kirk Cameron and the Gold sisters. At one point I had a crush on both of them. So yes, I watched both of those shows, yes.
That show was, I think, a big turning point in television as well. Benson, that's a great point. If you're not familiar with Benson, Robert Guillaume, who was a fantastic Broadway actor and some other things, he was basically a butler in, I believe, the mansion of the California governor or something.
I think that's what it was.
I think that's what it was. And even back then I was like, this seems a little outdated. But I think that was mostly the last show of that kind. But yeah, he was like a nanny dad, exactly. All right, let's do bracket.
All right.
As you know, we had our first bracket T-shirt winner. That's Daniel Nathaniel. Have I sent it to you yet, Daniel? No. I'll do it this weekend, though. I just have to put it in the system. I'm sorry, it slipped my mind. But you will get your shirt. I have your size. You're good to go. But Daniel Nathaniel was our first winner of the big T-shirt. If you want to take a look at it, actually, I don't know. I don't have it, but I'll figure out a way. Maybe I'll put it in one of the scenes that are. I can do that here. And he was a character on Soap before. That's right. He was on Soap, which everybody loves Soap because that had Billy Crystal, Robert Guillaume. That's right. It was Soap. Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate that. So anyway, Daniel, it was my turn to do bracket, and Daniel said, why don't you do James Bond themes? And I thought, perfect. Now, it doesn't coincide with anything because it certainly doesn't coincide with Flag Days. I suppose we could have did like 16 best flags from around the world, but that would have been dopey because it would have been USA, USA, right? So, but we didn't do that. And we've done a bunch of Army stuff, so we wouldn't want to do Army birthday or anything like that. So we did James Bond themes, which I thought was a great suggestion from Daniel. Now, let me switch scenes. So if you're watching the stream, and we thank you for doing that. Let me see. I think it's this one. You should see the bracket come up, and that is the bracket. So let me read you. Keith is familiar with these, although he didn't know some of the songs, which was fair. I am a big James Bond nut from way back. I used to watch every James Bond movie on the Sunday night movie on ABC. I used to, I love James Bond. They used to, the White Lotus from The Spy Who Loved Me, they actually sold those in grocery stores, little plastic versions of those. My dad and I used to stick rocket engines in the back of those and send them shooting off down the street to see how far they would go, and they would just tumble and blow up. It was really cool. So I'm a James Bond nut. I knew every song that I put on here, and really when it came down to it, there were really only 12 songs to be had here. So if you're in the bracket, there were 5 predictions. And let me see. Let me tell you who's got predictions in. It's the usual suspects, but we'll go ahead and name them off again. Someone called License to Kill. Shaken Not Stirred is going to be I'm Batman 14 RS. Daniel Nathaniel is here again, but even if he wins, he's not going to get a second T-shirt. So but thanks for entering. Ray's got Bond Girl, and then Strictly by the Numbers is PJ. So let's see how PJ does this week. Everybody's score potential is 28, and there are 11 picks to be made. So
wait. PJ has 2 in.
Does he?
Because he's in I Am Batman as well.
Oh, all right. So anyway,
what he did, he messaged us, I think. What he did was he I Am Batman is his just going through and thinking about what's going to win. His by the numbers is what song actually charted higher. Is how he picked it.
That's how he picked it?
So there you have it.
Okay. I don't think that's at all how this bracket's going to go, but but we'll see. Hang on a second. I'm just responding to Matt's comment on Benson. He was a butler or a servant of some kind at some point on Soap, so maybe he became that later. Okay.
I think he was the major domo, I think, kind of thing.
Right. Okay, so here are the songs. So if you're not familiar with these, apologies, but here we go. Let me go back to the bracket. Sorry, I'm moving a little slow. La, la, la. All right, let me just bring it up on screen for us. No, not that one. Dang it. Okay, so in the 8-9 is From Russia With Love and For Your Eyes Only, and that is your favorite because it's Sheen or Easton. You Know My Name, which is one of my favorites by Chris Cornell, and All Time High, which is from Octopussy. Goldfinger, wah, wah, wah.
That was Tina Turner, wasn't it?
No, that's Golden Eye, which is coming.
That's Golden Eye, yeah.
Goldfinger is, I can't remember her name, but it was really the first sort of, or maybe it was the second. I'm not sure. I don't remember if Thunderball came after Goldfinger or Goldfinger came after Thunderball. I always forget that. But either way, that was really the first James Bond theme. The Dr. No, I almost put it in the running. For Dr. No, it was the actual James Bond theme written by Monty Norman, but that was not. I didn't put it in the running because it's kind of in every movie, so that wouldn't be fair to do that. Anyway, Goldfinger versus Thunderball, which I think is a Titan round for me, and then the last play-in game is A View to a Kill versus GoldenEye. That's Tina Turner. View to a Kill is Duran Duran. Your 4 seed is You Only Live Twice, which was done, I think, by the same woman who did Goldfinger. That has a lot of meaning to me because that's probably my second favorite Bond movie. Number 3 is Nobody Does It Better by Carly Simon, which was my first Bond movie. Number 2 is Skyfall. I put Skyfall at number 2 because a lot of people really liked that theme. I did not care for it at all. I didn't think it was very Bondish. So that's just me, though. Shirley Bassey, thank you, Daniel. Chance Babin's here. Hi, Chance. And then the number 1 theme, and I don't know, I think this is very F-14-ish, is Live and Let Die, which was written by Paul McCartney. And there's another, and Daniel will tell me his name too, there's another songwriter on most of these. His name is Tom or John something. John Barry. He contributed to most of these themes. So have you listened to all of these?
Yes, I have.
Okay, good. So we're good to go. All right.
Did you mention Did you mention Thunderball? Was it Thunderball?
Tom
Was
Jones.
Tom Jones?
Tom
Yeah.
Jones. I didn't say it, but you're right. It's Tom Jones. So I forgot that one. So I think you're all set. If you're a James Bond fan and you're along for the show, I'm going to try to keep up with the chat at the same time as I'm grading the brackets. Marianne says, yes, Shirley Bassey. Thank you, Marianne. Appreciate it. Marianne said, so there's that. Okay, so let's get started. As I said, I'll try to keep up with the chat as well. All right, so I did it again. It's the wrong button. Sorry about that, folks. Okay, so let's start with the 512. You Know My Name versus All Time High. Again, one of the last Roger Moore films, Octopussy, which was not one of my favorites. Versus Maude Adams, that's right, returning because she was a Bond girl in Goldfinger. And then You Know My Name, which is really one of my favorite Bond themes ever. Chris Cornell, R.I.P. He did a magnificent job doing this song. It's just a badass song.
It really is.
Yeah, so I'll let you go first since you've listened to both.
Well, to be honest, these are the two I had never heard before.
Okay, fair.
I kind of got out.
I think I had forgotten what All Time High sounded like, so that's fair.
Yeah, I kind of got out of watching Bond. I grew up watching Bond with Roger Moore.
What's wrong with you?
Well, I'm younger than you. Shut up.
By like a day, whatever.
Yeah, a year and 6 days. Yeah.
Whatever.
Anyway, I think the first Bond movie I watched was Moonraker. I saw that in the Taunus Theater in Wiesbaden.
Literally, Moonraker is, we need a James Bond film that copies Star Wars. How soon can we get it in production? That's literally what Moonraker was. And by the way, highest grossing Bond film ever.
Yeah. Yes. All right. So I did listen to them because I try to be educated when I talk with our show here and our educated listeners.
Yeah.
All Time High, to be honest, I didn't like the song. You Know My Name, I really enjoyed the song. As you said, Chris Cornell, there's just something about his voice. I'm not a huge Cornell fan, but there are songs where nobody else can sing that song.
Yeah.
One, believe it or not, crosses over into country is actually a oh my God, I can't. It's called Heavy as the Crown, and it's PJ, help me out,
dude.
I've got 4 of his albums.
All right. Anyway, so you like the Chris Cornell song?
I like the Chris Cornell song.
So Chris Cornell, Sun Shower is by far his greatest song. All right, so do I. So we're going to move that one on. We just score it. So, All Time High is a very adult contemporary, overproduced. Yeah. We need a filler sort of. An Octopussy was this very weird tweener Bond, but had parts of it filmed at Ramstein Air Force or Air Base rather. So that's an interesting part there.
I know that,
but it's a shit song. Okay, a 6-11, A View to a Kill, Duran Duran. Again, I think that was that his last film? I think that was Roger Moore's last Bond film. Versus GoldenEye, Pierce Brosnan's first Bond film. For me, this is a tough call. I like both of these songs immensely, but I'm closer to A View to a Kill because it's one of the ones that was in my teenage years and in my head. I really like the groove of GoldenEye. I think GoldenEye was written by Bono and The Edge, by the way.
Yes.
And sung by Tina Turner, so that's very cool. But that said, I'm a View to a Kill guy. What about you?
I agree. I remember the video. This is when MTV still played videos back in that day. And GoldenEye, great film, great song. You are going to be hard pressed to find anything wrong with anything Tina Turner does. But I'm like you. I like A View to a Kill. It just pops. It was great for that song, or great for that movie, and so that I think that one moves on. By the way, going back to the song Chris Cornell did with the Zac Brown
finally got it right.
band.
Zac Brown, okay.
I
just read today that he and his wife Zac Brown are divorced, but they have 5 kids, and they're in People magazine, so they're talking about how that's wonderful co-parenting thing. John B. said, Live and Let Die belongs in the Paul McCartney Hall of Shame right behind Why Don't We Do It in the Road? And I said, Spies Like Us. And I always poke fun because I like Spies Like Us, and John hates it. It's one of my, not one of my favorite songs, but I like Spies Like Us. It's a cute song. All right, so we moved View to a Kill on. Let's go to the Up 7-10 matchup, which is actually a pretty titanic matchup. Either of these could have been in the Final Four. Goldfinger versus Thunderball. Thunderball, as you know, was made twice. Thunderball was Thunderball originally with Sean Connery, and then it became Never Say Never Again with Sean Connery, who said he'd never do another Bond film. It was the same film, and what happened is the rights to Thunderball were in basically legal arrears for a very long time. And that meant they couldn't use things like the organization Spectre and a few other things. Only the person who owned Thunderball and all of that sort of intellectual property could. And that's why when they made, the film Spectre with, who was the actor we were talking, Christopher Waltz, that's when they were able to use, I think, Blofeld again and Spectre and all these different things. So the first Thunderball I thought was really cool, but I'm not as keen on that theme song. Goldfinger to me is extremely for some reason it's etched in my head just because of that Goldfinger versus Thunderball, whatever. So I would pick Goldfinger here only because I think it's a bit more catchy.
I agree, and that's exactly for the exact same reason. It's you know that what it is. I had forgotten Tom Jones even did Thunderball.
That's
so
right.
Goldfinger moves on.
Goldfinger moves on. And very much, I mean, both are, but Goldfinger is very much the sort of stereotypical archetype Bond theme. All right. Your 8-9 matchup, sir, is, and I know already which one you're going to pick, and I'm going to pick it too, I think. 8 is From Russia with Love, and 9 is For Your Eyes Only. So the interesting story about the From Russia with Love song is they didn't have a song for that film. And they were sort of noodling one day with some of the score, and they said, "Oh, that's pretty good." And there was a guy in the studio, so Daniel will tell me who sung this too.
I think it's Shirley Bassey again.
No, it's a dude, but I can't remember the dude. Yeah, it's a dude's name, but I can't. But anyway, they said, "Hey, why don't you sing this?" So it was From Russia with Love. And if you're tracking in the Bond timeline, this is when Bond actually became a double agent in the books. And in Never Say Never Again, he actually is basically rescued out of Vladivostok and taken back to England and sort of rebrainwashed and becomes an agent again. Anyway, For Your Eyes Only is Sheena Easton, who had a fantastic 80s career with a lot of songs. My baby takes the morning train, and a number of other songs that Keith is in love with. And she did Sugar Walls with Prince is another big...
Sugar Walls.
My Sugar Walls. So anyway...
And she did another one, just real quick, an aside.
Yeah.
On the Batman, her and Prince did another duet, which I love, which got 0 Arms of Orion. You're right. Got 0 radio play. And
Matt Monroe, thank you.
But it's a fantastic song. Fantastic song.
Matt Monroe sang From Russia with Love. So anyway, my pick here would be For Your Eyes Only. I think From Russia with Love, again, is another one of those sort of all-time high kind of, they threw it together at the last minute, and it was one of those things that didn't have any identity to it. But For Your Eyes Only is very distinctive to me, even though it was one of the worst Bond films made. You?
No, For Your Eyes Only, because it did get a lot of radio play. Because it was
huge.
Easton, because it was a pop song at the time. It is very recognizable, and also the name of the movie. So yeah, it has to move on.
All right, so we have our round 2, which is the same number as round 1. Let's check out our predictions really fast to see where folks are faring in guessing our picks. Well, guess who's in the lead? It's PJ, Dad. 007.
Wow.
Number 1. He has 4 picks. He's made all 4 picks correctly so far, so that's good. Daniel Nathaniel's gotten 3 picks, and License to Kill, and the other PJ pick is 3, and Ray has 2 picks so far. So that's where we are with the picks. All right, so let's go on to round 2. We can't show you these on the screen, unfortunately, but we'll try to break them down for you. So your 4 to 5 let's do the bottom first. 1, 7, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so your 2-7 is Skyfall versus Goldfinger. 3-6, Nobody Does It Better, View to a Kill. 4-5, You Only Live Twice versus You Know My Name. And the 1-9 is Live and Let Die for Your Eyes Only. Let's start with the 2-7, Skyfall versus Goldfinger. Skyfall, big movie for Bond, big sort of back-to-basics film for Bond. They didn't give him a lot of gadgets. The way that it was written by the same guy who wrote Traffic and he wrote something else, but he was a former Scientologist, and he was big for a while in movies for about 9 or 10 years. Paul Haggis, that's it. He wrote parts of that. And then Adele did the song Skyfall, which I didn't care for. It wasn't my jam, but a lot of people loved it because they love Adele and the song's pretty good. Goldfinger, we've already talked about. Who you got?
I really like Skyfall. I did like the Skyfall song. And I'm not sure I've seen the movie. Like I said, I kind of got out of watching Bond movies.
Yeah.
Not for any particular reason, just because. See, I'm going to go with Skyfall on that.
Okay.
On this one. But is this a flip a coin? Flip a thing?
It's a flip a coaster time, folks. If you haven't been through this bit of drama, you don't need your whole seat. You only need the edge. So Keith's going to flip the coaster. I always get the side. Actually, you know what? You need to give me the other side because you're the Dallas Cowboys fan. So I get the blank side from now on.
Blank side.
Keith gets the starred side, and he flips it honestly, and we just press on with whatever is said. Because I'm going to pick I pick Goldfinger here, so we know there's.
It's a heavy thing too.
It is. So let's have it. Let's go.
All right, here we go.
Go.
Oh, something flew off at me.
Keith wins that one. I think that's probably the popular vote too. Is that Skyfall would have won that? So fair enough. Generational druthers to those who pick it. All right. Let's see, 3-6 matchup is A View to a Kill versus Nobody Does It Better. Now, Spy Who Loved Me was the very first Bond film I saw. I fell in love with the Lotus that turns into a submarine that shoots missiles and kills helicopters. I fell in love with the underwater base that was run by not Gert Fromm, but Daniel and I were talking about the Bond villain the other day, who's the actor here. I forget his name. Whatever. That was my jam. Spy Who Loved Me was my jam. And then he does the...
Was that the one that also had the microjet in it and he parachuted off the mountain? And
that parachuting off the mountain, yes. Microjet is For Your Eyes Only. But
okay.
So that has one of the first ski montages where he's outrunning the Doom with the Marvin Hamlish disco version of 007, which is also another sort of cut from that, which I like. It has that... Right. So, yes, he skis off the mountain, and the big British parachute opens up.
Right.
You cream your pants, and then... Do-do-do-do. Nobody does it better. Anyway, who you got?
Oh, Nobody Does It Better is Carly Simon, and I love Carly Simon. But A View to a Kill...
Stromberg.
Again, I go back... That's A View to a Kill is Gen X all the way, man.
Right.
That's so I'm going with that, and there's a little more up tempo, more. I'm going with View to a Kill.
I'm going with Nobody Does It Better. So you got to flip that goddamn coaster again.
Damn it!
I know.
This is gonna make me lift weights.
That's 2 flips. I think the record is 3. So who you got? What do you got?
Oh, we're 1-1.
Good. That was my choice. All right. So 1-0. Nobody Does It Better moves on. Honestly, I love both of those themes, but to me, seminal Bond theme song, Nobody Does It Better. Okay. The 4-5 matchup is You Only Live Twice versus You Know My Name. Go ahead.
You Only Live Twice. Who did that?
Shirley Bassey, I think, did that one again.
That was another. Okay, that was a Shirley Bassey song.
I think so. I think she was under contract.
Yeah, she did several of them. That I know. I just don't remember which ones. I'll go with You Know My Name, just to bring it kind of up to date a little bit.
I agree. So we go with the Chris Cornell song as we try to also. We're a bit over time, but we're all right on disc space this month, I think, so far. All right, the 1-9 matchup. For Your Eyes Only and Sheena Easton versus Live and Let Die and Paul McCartney. Now, I know John B. derides this song, but I love that riff, that dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun, dun-dun. I mean, it still, to a great degree, sends chills up my spine. I love that song. And that was one of his first outlets, or first Sans Beatle outlets, I think, after he left the Beatles. I love that song. It's seminal. It was the first Roger Moore film, which I don't really care for the film so much, though it has the greatest boat chase ever. It's fantastic and it's funny. But to me, it's a fantastic What does it matter to you when you got a job to do? You got to do it well. You got to give the other fella hell. I mean, I don't like the word fella, but all the rest of that's pretty tough. I pick Live and Let Die.
That wasn't written for the song or for the movie, right?
Yeah, it was written for the movie.
Was it?
Yes. Very much so.
I thought he had. Okay. You know how I feel about Sheena Easton.
Yeah. You're in love with
Live and
Sheena
Let
Easton.
Die. I've loved that song since McCartney did it. I loved it when Guns N' Roses got a lot of play out of it. Oh boy. Yeah, I'm going to go with Live and Let Die.
Good boy. Good. We don't have to. If we have to flip a third time, I think that will tie the record. So, all right. We're in the final four. Let's see how our bracketologists are doing here under the predictions category. And we have a new leader, and his name is Daniel Nathaniel. He has picked 9, I believe, correctly. Yeah, 9. PJ's got 8. He's going to have to come through in the final 4. Someone licensed to kill has 7, and then PJ's second is 7, and then Ray has 6. So Ray's still keeping up.
Come on, Ray.
She's keeping up. She's doing all right. All right, final 4. So we don't need to debate these too much, although we can agonize over them. Number 1, Live and Let Die versus number 5. No, I'm sorry. Let's do the 2, 3. Skyfall versus Nobody Does It Better. Who you got?
I'm still going with Skyfall. Do we have to flip?
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry. Third flip ties the record, folks.
That's all right.
Survey says it's a Dallas side. Damn it. All right, Skyfall moves on. Skyfall was a very, very big theme, and I can definitely see how it can go in the Bond pantheon. I can't believe I'm not letting Nobody Does It Better move on. I should have made it tough, but I made my argument earlier on. So Skyfall.
Well, the thing with Skyfall is also you have a whole generation who know that song,
right,
but don't know anything about James Bond.
Right.
So, and the song may pull some people to James Bond. You never know.
It's very much of that era. It's that very much, again, Marvin Hamlish, Burt Bacharach-ish-y, piano-y, torch song-y. Great tune, but yeah, you're right. It is pretty generational. Okay, I think this is a great matchup, but I know who I want here because I think these songs are very similar. They're very tough. They're very sort of, hey, if you don't like it, F you sorts of songs. And You Know My Name came with the first Daniel Craig Bond film, which I think is a masterpiece of Bond. Casino Royale, except for some parts that are kind of slow. But Live and Let Die, again, not the greatest film, but again, probably the better theme song. Who you got?
I got Live and Let Die.
Yeah, I do too. There's not a lot of debate there. Okay. So here we are at the cusp of, and we're not going to review the brackets till we decide on a winner. Here it is. Your number 2 is versus your number 1. So that's the way things should be, right? Live and Let Die versus Skyfall. We've already debated this to death. Who you got?
I got number 1.
Oh, you're picking Live and Let Die. I thought we were going to have a fourth coin toss. All right, so do I. And I had a feeling it was going to win. So there's your winner. Live and Let Die, a John B. DeRider, which is fair. But it is our winner of our best James Bond theme song bracket. And that ends the tournament. So let's see how our predictors did. I've ended the tournament. Let's go to our predictions and let's announce a winner. Guess who won? Congratulations, Ray. You are the winner. She gets 22.
Yay,
so what you have to remember is the points per round increase. So if you predict the end, you get more points than the beginning. So Ray wins. Someone named License to Kill is second. PJ 1, and then Daniel Nathaniel, and then PJ 2. So congratulations, Ray. I will let Keith get your size and send you a T-shirt. And thank you very much for playing along, everybody who entered a bracket this week. Matt Davis says even Adele didn't do it better. Can't agree more. It's a great song. It's a seminal James Bond song. And really, I think those 12 were about as good as it gets as far as James. There were some other ones, but I was just like, I'm not putting that in there, and some other things. So, all right, anything else? What else do we want to talk about? We've only got about, seriously, maybe another 3 minutes before we sort of bump up against storage space.
I already have next week's bracket, Saturday bracket. I was
going to say. So you've got the bracket and the quiz this week. So if you don't know, folks, we are doing on Tuesdays now. We are doing a quiz, which we call the 9. And it's basically Keith picks a topic, which he's going to tell me what it is in a minute. Or do you not have that yet?
No.
All right, so he'll tell me that during the week, or hopefully before Tuesday. Otherwise, it's not very fair. And then I sort of have to bone up on whatever his questions are going to be. So last week I picked Army, and I asked him sort of celebrity-based questions. He will pick whatever, probably related to something that's happening that week or some current event or something like that. And he will ask me 9 questions, and then I will attempt to get them right. On Saturdays, we continue to do the bracket where you can win a T-shirt. We encourage everybody to enter at, we always post the link on our Facebook page, and we usually try to get it out as best as we can. So Keith has bracket and quiz next week. We want to thank you for playing along on the live show. We had a good stream. The reason why we had a bad stream, Matt, is because for whatever reason, the software that does the broadcasting did not like the in-the-wall internet, and it kept crashing the in-the-wall internet. So I removed it, and we did it all wireless, and it worked fine. Anything else from you, my friend?
No, sir. I think it was good. Great bracket. Great show. Thanks for listening.
Very happy to have you back to work on Monday. It's going to be a good time. Thank you all for listening and watching the show. Don't forget, you can pick us up on iTunes, Spotify, NBC, CBS, One America Network, Fox News, Google Play. Almost all of those are true, but do subscribe. We would appreciate that. And leave a review if you can. That helps us out a lot with the algorithms. And please join us next Saturday for another live broadcast if you're not too busy. And thank you so much, and have a great night. Bye-bye.
I will already tell you that there will be fire because of things I've left off the bracket for next Saturday. Have a great week.
Fire for the bracket. Bye, folks.